175,000. Y'all blinked and we're already here. Next stop, 200. Welcome back to Truck Central. I am Mr. Justin Wheeler, and this is my 2019 Ram 1500 Limited High Mileage Edition. As you might have guessed, we have hit another mileage milestone in the old Dusty Dodge here. We have eclipsed the 175,000 mile mark. I know it seems like yesterday we posted that first 50,000 mile video, but here we are at 175, and we are quickly tracking down to 200. But for now, we'll touch on the high-level updates for 175. Before we get into that, I do want to say thank you to Real Truck. Real Truck is our sponsor for this video. So after this is over, head on over to realtruck.com and buy yourself something nice. All right, so first up, I got a few things to talk about here. Some things kind of new. One thing I think is kind of a little bit of a revisit, but it's worth mentioning because when you get up into this higher mileage bracket, you know, things just kind of fail more quickly. You don't expect a lot of problems between 0 and 50, even though we covered the problems we had between 0 and 50. 100 to 175 has been pretty good to us. We haven't had a whole lot of issues. So let's go ahead and jump into it. One of the things I want to talk about is wear and tear. We get a lot of comments asking about the seats, and really the seats are holding up pretty well. We've got a little bit of the wear that you see on the side, on the bottom portion of the seat, but it's really not bad, especially considering how many times I've gotten in and out of this truck. It's excessive, and it's really holding up well. A very, very minimal wear. But one thing that is wearing faster than I would probably like to admit is the steering wheel itself. That's not really shocking, given that it takes a lot of direct contact. I mean, other than the seat where my butt is planted, the steering wheel receives the most touch, the most contact, the most engagement with me, who's always behind the steering wheel. So the steering wheel is wearing in a couple different ways that's worth mentioning. First, I'll point out, you might be able to see that, maybe not. There is a little crack right here on the top of this fake wood grain. I don't even know why they call it wood grain. It doesn't really even resemble wood, but it is nice and it is tastefully done. Anyway, it's like a hard plastic composite material, and I actually dropped my phone right on top of the steering wheel one day when I was making a video, and it put this little nick in it. Now, it hasn't gotten any worse since then, and this has been a couple months, maybe 2 months, but it is there and it is annoying. Now, you might be asking yourself, you just dropped your phone on it and it cracked. To be fair, my phone does have a solid metal case, bezel, and it is really heavy. So it's kind of like akin to dropping a pair of vice grips on your steering wheel. It's pretty hard. And so it really just sucks. You know, when you're driving, you always feel that little snag. It drags on your hand, and it's not great. So there's that. I'll give you a close-up of that too, if I haven't already. Additionally, opposite of the fake wood grain on top is the little piece at the 6 o'clock position. It's like the little wood grain panel. It matches this, but whereas this is dark gray and light gray with these, you know, these light gray striations, the bottom is no longer dark gray and light gray. It's like dark gray and light brown, light orange, yellowish. It's got a very yellow tinge where it used to be light. And I don't think that's dirt. I think that's just like discoloration. For whatever reason, I think that piece was made in a different way or process than this top piece. So it's just, it looks different visibly. And it's just weird, not a huge deal. Doesn't affect anything other than it is just not how it was when it was brand new. And then also the leather on the sides, it's starting to become a little worn. You know, when you wear leather out, parts of it will get flat and smooth and sometimes shiny and then sometimes flat looking, kind of like that. I guess I just gripped the heck out of the steering wheel. I don't know. So that's starting to wear. Really, that's the only thing that's wearing. All right, while we're on the topic of wear, I do want to mention my tires. Now, the tires are not a factory component of the truck, but it may be because of suspension wear That I don't know yet. So I did, over the last couple weeks, start to notice that at high speeds, 80 miles per hour plus, I would start to get a vibration in the steering wheel. It would be ever so subtle, but just enough to notice. And I'll include a clip of kind of what that looks like. Not extreme, not uncomfortable to drive, but definitely not normal, not factory. And so one day I got out and I noticed this diagonal cupping across both front tires. And it could be a problem with the wheels not being balanced. It could be suspension wear. It could be just old worn out tires, I guess. So I went ahead and had an oil change and maintenance done yesterday, and I had them rebalance the tires, and it does feel and they rebalance and rotate, and it does feel a little bit better. Not perfect, but I do have maybe some lingering suspicions that suspension components up front may need to be looked at again. And if you'll remember, we got underneath it at the 150 video, and everything looked fine, but it has been 25,000 miles since then. So we may be doing some front end work. We will see. While we're on kind of maintenance items, y'all probably know or remember that I've mentioned that these brake pads are factory. We have 175 plus thousand miles on these brake pads, and I feel like I am starting to notice them wearing. The truck definitely doesn't stop as good. It doesn't brake quite as evenly. There's a little pull from the right side. I think I was really hoping to make it to 200,000 on these factory brake pads. I don't know if I'm gonna make it, but we will see. I probably need to take the wheels off and pull those calipers and take a close look. I have the brake pads. I've had them for 100,000 miles. They're just sitting in the box. So those may be coming up, but we're still on factory pads, and that's pretty impressive, even at 175. And then finally, we had a great viewer suggestion a couple videos ago. Somebody had told me to look into doing an oil analysis. And what's cool about oil analysis is it kind of gives you an objective, a scientific review or breakdown of how healthy is the motor. It does things like tests for fuel in the oil, tests for coolant in the oil, tests for wear metals that might come off bearings or rings or whatever. And if that stuff is present in the oil, well, then you know you've got some damage internally. So that is something that I took to heart, obviously. And what I did was I had two independent third-party oil analysis companies take my oil, the same oil from the 160,000 mile oil change, and run the numbers. And in this, I'm not going to do a deep dive in this video. That may be a separate video entirely. But what we found was one of them gave my oil a perfect score, and one of them gave me, they didn't grade it, like, you know, score it, but they told me, or they gave us a list of, you know, here are the metrics, here's the tolerances and thresholds that the oil analysis metrics need to fall under, and it was like a perfect score. So we got two really, really good, if not perfect scores from two different companies, telling me that this engine with 175 plus thousand miles and over 5,100 hours of operation is in very, very good shape. And that means more than me just saying, hey, it's running great, because it does run great, but that doesn't mean I'm not on the verge of a catastrophic failure. Having an oil analysis done, I think, helps kind of just reaffirm that, hey, things are in good shape. No worries, this thing is still going to go for another 175. So that's all the update I have for you today, guys. Stay tuned. We are rapidly approaching that 200,000 mile mark. So if you do want to get those updates, like and subscribe. One final shout out to Real Truck. Head on over to realtruck.com. They've got all your mud flaps, floor mats, sidebars, intakes, tuners, you name it, they got it. Leave a comment down below. You know I look forward to talking to you. And as always, thanks for watching.